Tough start in the first round of the playoffs for the Bucks. Indiana was hitting some threes early. Pascal Siakam knocked down 3, and then his buddy Miles Turner knocked down 4 more. Very balanced scoring this afternoon as the Pacers take game one. 117-98 is the final score. 6 players in double-figure scoring for Indiana. They did set the pace, 22-5 advantage on fast break points. And, Steve, that's our Menards big money moment. It was a difference maker in that first half.
You know, it really was. And I think when you look at the numbers on the box score at the end of the night, that really does stand out, 22-5. And obviously the 22 is a big number, but 5 is also really low. And so it goes both ways. This is who you know Indiana wants to be, is to get over half court as fast as they can, play with pace, not call an offensive set. And you're seeing where the buckets come from, at the rim on the attack, and then defense kind of slipping up and leaving the three-point shooters open. And so this is the way that Indiana has played all year. They've been one of the highest-paced teams. They've been a team that shoots that three-ball opportunistically when they get those opportunities, but they want to put a lot of pressure at the rim, and it doesn't work for them when the game slows down, when guys like Brook Lopez, when Giannis, when Bobby Portis, when they can clog things up and slow it down. And so I think that is clearly going to continue to be a big goal for Milwaukee, is you got to make shots in order to make Indiana take the ball out. Once they have to take the ball out, you have a few extra seconds to get back and set that defense. But when you're shooting 41%, Indiana, on the other side, they are going to shoot a higher percentage because they've got the defense on their heels. And so that's how Indiana wants to play so far in their favor. But we'll see what Game 2 looks like. That's really the full explanation for why that number is so different for Indiana. They have 28 in Milwaukee, only half as many assists. To see Giannis with just 1 assist in this game, a guy who has proven when they double team, when they show a bunch of bodies to him, he will move the rock. He'll find his shooters. The ball just wasn't going in for Milwaukee, but you're seeing Indiana. They are willing ball movers. They play with pace. They get out and they run. Then they space that floor, and they really depend on the defense turning their heads, losing track of their guy. Then they continue to almost overpass the ball at certain times. I think just to really emphasize that is the way that they play. Everybody's always ready. Once Tyrese Halliburton gives that ball up, you're seeing they're trying to get the ball right back to him because they know he'll continue to find those shooters or make a great decision. And so it was a close game at the end. Milwaukee did a great job of fighting all the way back, 12-point game with just 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. But then Indiana was able to put it away. They really are such a versatile team. And I think they have to play with pace to be at their best. They've also got to be able to have a guy they can throw the ball to who can be their bucket getter. And look, Tyrese, one of the best assist guys in the league. He's trying to move it. But then you've got this guy, Siakam, who is their hybrid player. He's not Miles Turner out on the perimeter and shot blocking. He's a little bit of everywhere. He's posting up. He's knocking down threes, as you see right here. He'll handle it and run a little point forward. He is a really good all-around player. And as a matchup for Giannis defensively and to counter what Giannis is doing to the Pacers on the offensive end. And so you do have to give him a lot of credit for, I think, being as consistent and as tough of a player as he is to figure out how do you match up with him. Because when there is a player on that other team that can shoot it from mid-range, can also post up, can get to the free throw line, and can knock down the three, you realize it's not just anyone who can defend that guy. It's got to be a Giannis. It's got to be a really big physical presence, and it's someone that can move their feet as well. So he's a problem.
Giannis winds up with 36 and 12 here in today's game. Obviously not nearly enough, Steve. He's going to need some help along the way.
You know, he is. And I also think, like you said, you realize there is incredible responsibility that Giannis, because of the player that he is and how skilled he is at so many things, he has a huge responsibility in this series. He has to score. He's got to facilitate. He's got to rebound. He's got to defend. He has to do a lot because that is who he is, and he's good enough to do all those things. But to your point, you've got to look up at the end of the night and see that Giannis has 36 points, that he's getting to the free throw line, making or missing them almost irrelevant, playing some defense, getting these rebounds. But you do have to see some other guys in that stat line. Now, look, Dame missing tonight. We all know that last year in that first game against Indiana, Dame had 35 points in the first half against Indiana. He's missing tonight. And so let's see if he can maybe get back. If he's healthy enough, it'll be a big add if he can. But those other guys also have to keep finding their spots, watch this film, see where the shots come from, see how Indiana is rotating on that backside to figure out, is it a cut? Is it the dunker spot? Is it the weak side three? Because those guys got to bang down shots. We saw some good things from some guys, Gary Trent, A.J. Green, those guys got going. But there is no question, those weak side players, those others on this team are going to have some big performances for this Bucks team to win 4 out of these 7.
Well, you mentioned Dame. He was already jarring at the end, drew a technical foul with Siakam. So maybe that's his way of saying, look out, come Tuesday, I might be back ready to go. We'll just have to see how this plays out. Going to be a few days in between games of Game 1 and Game 2. All right, speaking of that bench and A.J. Green, nice night for him, and he helped the Bucks come back in the second half.
Well, like you said, A.J. Green was a big part of that. Knocking down the 5 threes that he knocked down was a big part of making that run. And you realize with 5 minutes left, down by 12, who's finally cooking. He's a big reason why. You got to keep finding these shooters. A.J., Gary Trent. You want to see Taurean Prince get involved as well. And to your point, Pat Connaughton, who's played well towards the end of this season, might be able to be used to spread that floor and knock down shots. But these are the kind of contributions that you're going to have to just continue to see. And I think you've seen the guy with the ball, Giannis, without Dame out there, is willing to find these guys, got to continue to move, find those open spots. They are putting 2-3 guys on Giannis. They are loading up and making sure he sees a real presence, which means those shooters on the weak side against the Pacers in the matchups during the regular season. You saw Indiana get some big leads, 19-point lead that Milwaukee came back from and beat them there at Gainbridge. And so obviously this 28-point lead down to 12, but then couldn't get any further. And there really were a couple really good possessions at just that 12-point deficit that would have pushed it over the top, but a couple misses by Giannis, by KPJ, who also had a really solid game and is doing a good job contributing, but going to just need to see a continued effort, looking at the film, making some adjustments, because this is still a very, very young series.
All right, more to come here. We're going to hear from Doc Rivers following the Game 1 loss to the Pacers and get you set for what we expect for Game 2 on Tuesday night. All right, Bucks fall in Indiana in Game 1. They'll be back there on Tuesday. Final numbers for you here. Indiana finally settled down all the way down to 52% from the field. They were at 60 for much of the game, everything falling their way. Bucks just simply struggled from the field and the free throw line here in this one. And Indiana, as we talked about, sharing the ball and getting out on the break. So they take the 1-0 lead. Let's go back to Indianapolis now and listen in on Doc Rivers.
Kyle scoreless, Taurean scoreless.
Yeah, they don't.
One shot.
It's hard to score when you don't touch the ball. I mean, no offense. Kyle got 2 shots in the first half, both with 2 seconds on the shot clock. So, Kuzma can play, but we got to involve him, and we got to make sure we keep him involved.
So I guess. Is that? It would appear like that's an off day adjustment, because clearly you went to a different unit to end the game. I mean, the bench group. So I guess what were you seeing in game that you felt that was the
we finished a lot with lately? The Bobby. So we didn't do anything different. But that's a lineup that has created offense for us. But I really thought the second unit came on the floor, the entire second unit, and I thought that's what got us moving the ball again. And then the starters came back in and they saw how we were playing and they joined in. So there's some really good things to take from this game. There's some things that we have to make adjustments to. And then there's just things we just can't do that we know better. And so it's probably all 3 buckets for us.
Was that just too many consecutive minutes? Like KPJ, I think, came in just under 8 in the third, finished. AJ just under 6 in the third, finished. But was that too long of a stretch, though, for that group to go a quarter and a half effectively, though?
I don't know. You look at their plus minus, it's pretty good. You look at the starters plus minus. So, it's one game, and we've had a week off. So, no, I don't. I think sometimes you stick with your group.
Speaking to the starters plus minus, is that a lineup that you feel like with a tweak can still be viable in this series?
We're better off. We've done it. We're a better offensive unit than that. But, we have to be that, though. And the only way that lineup can play well off it, they need more ball movement than the other one. The other lineup we have guys that can go downhill and create plays. The first lineup, we have to move the ball to get shots for everybody else.
Defensively, you guys gave up some switches onto Siakam. Is that something that you're comfortable with?
Some of them obviously you don't want, but overall I'm very comfortable with it. A lot of those are in zone. So those are things you can look at and figure out how he got to the places he got to, and take those away.
I'm sure you'd take I know Tyrese created with double-digit assists, but I think he only had 2 shots through the first quarter, and wasn't involved that way through. What did you like about Ryan starting and the way the team defended him?
I thought defensively we're pretty good. I still thought Tyrese or Halliburton still made plays though. He's an interesting kid because he's more than just a scorer. And on the nights that he sees that they're taking stuff away, he's smart enough to fill that night and just make plays for his teammates. I thought he was very happy doing that. He's a point guard. And I thought he had a hell of a game personally. Even though he didn't score, he still got everybody involved. And that's just as dangerous.
Obviously, Nebhart got out on the run in transition, but also in the half court, he was getting downhill or getting to his jumper. Just how can you maybe
just guard
execute better against that?
We just got to guard it better. We allowed too many middle drives overall through the game. Not just Nebhart, but everybody. He's going to make a couple twos, and honestly, we'll live with the twos. We shot 37 threes, but we're 9 for 37. But the numbers they're a liar. That like the 37 threes, 25 of them, the passes were too late. You're open and then you're not open, and then we throw it. So we didn't play with any type of offensive rhythm to give our shooters a chance. Here's the good news: we know they're there. We know they're open. Now we have to do the right thing. Thanks, guys.
We're going to bring Kevin out. All right, that's Doc Rivers following the Game 1 loss. We're going to hear from Kevin Porter Jr. as well coming up from Indianapolis.
You guys closed with that Giannis with the 4 bench guys lineup. That's been very successful for you guys. But I think it's something like 16, kind of 18 minutes. You guys end up missing some threes late in that. Just kind of how were you guys' legs, like playoff intensity, playing like a 16-minute stretch to kind of close that game out for you guys?
Playing 16 minutes is always tough. But at that point of the game, you just got to, have some will of fire and, find energy wherever you can find it. So, that's what we tried to do. We made a big run. We got it to, I think, 13-12 or something like that. And it was a game. But we can't allow it to get to that point. We got to come out fast, and we didn't do that tonight.
I guess what did you guys kind of like in that group? It's been a really good group for you guys over the last couple of weeks, but today, what did you see?
Specifically that group, our pace is very fast. And we typically try to let our defense be our offense with that group. High intensity defense, and we get out and run. And then you have me and Giannis to slow it down if we need to. But that group is about defending and getting out. So
you mentioned not letting it get to that point to be down 24 at the break. Just first half, what can you contribute to like the slow start, just broadly?
It's game 1. It's my first game, but. It's playoffs, the atmosphere and everything, that comes with it. It's probably just, had to get into it, but game 1's done. We got our feet under, we see what type of series this is going to be, and we woke now, so.
Doc just mentioned that Tyrese is a point guard. It's not always about points, and he did create, but what did you all maybe like about limiting his shots or those looks, beginning with Ryan at the start of the game, and then I guess off of that though, what was maybe he then able to do with distributing?
I think we did a good job when it comes to him making shots, but we still can't overreact on his drives. We got to continue to make him score and be a finisher. I feel like he excels when he got his guys, when he drives and they're cutting. You got a kickback action and all these things, and that's how you get 10 assists. But as far as, his scoring, we did a good job. We just got to, don't react on his drives and make him finish.
All right, plenty of adjustments for the Bucks and the Pacers to make before we hit game 2, but that's coming up on Tuesday night. Our coverage right here on FanDuel Sports Network begins at 5:30 with Bucks Live, and the crew will be down there. All right, that's going to do it for us. Game 1 is in the books, and it belongs to the Indiana Pacers, so they'll battle again Tuesday night in Game 2 before they come home for the next 2 games in Milwaukee next weekend. 117-98 is the final here. So Milwaukee, a little bit of work to do. They'll have a couple of days in between games to adjust, back home on the plane before they depart Monday to head back down for another road contest. Have a great rest of your weekend, everybody. See you back on the air on Tuesday night.